The evening smelled of rosemary chicken and expensive wine when Eleanor walked into her son's glassy, modern house. She had baked a blueberry pie, Henry's favorite, hoping it might soften what she expected to be a difficult talk. The table sat 9 people. Her sons Blake and Trevor, their wives, her teenage granddaughter Ava. Blake cleared his throat first. He always liked to play the host. "We've been thinking," he said smoothly, pouring wine into his glass lake. He was a king. It might be best if we simplify things. Move the estate under one roof. Streamline. Eleanor's fork paused midair. She asked quietly, "Have you spoken to the lawyer about the trust?" Candace Blake's wife, all sharp angles and gold jewelry, didn't even look up from her phone. She muttered, flat and dismissive, "You're just the widow, Eleanor. Maybe just stay quiet for now." Pause. The words hit like a knife. The room went silent, and then Blake chuckled. Trevor followed Dot, her own sons, laughing. Eleanor sat down her fork, stood up, walked out without a word. Behind her, the laughter grew louder. Dot. They thought she was powerless. Dot. They had no idea what was about to happen. That night, Eleanor couldn't sleep. She sat in Henry's old recliner, staring at the ceiling, her chest hollow. At 2:30 a.m., she finally stood and went to the drawer Henry had always called the no-go drawer. Birth certificates, deeds, tax returns. And there, tucked neatly. Inside, she found an envelope with her name on it. Her heart stopped. On the front, in Henry's handwriting, "For Eleanor." Inside was a letter. Pause. Lean in. If you're reading this, something has gone wrong. The boys mean well, but they're selfish. And Candace should try to take everything, so I made changes. Everything is in your name: the house, the accounts, the lake property. Don't feel guilty. Don't let them shame you into silence. And if they ever try to take what's yours, burn it all down. Her hands trembled as she pulled out the documents behind it. Legal seals. Notarized transfers. 8 months before his death, Henry had moved everything into Eleanor's name. He had seen this coming. Eleanor pressed the letter to her chest, whispering through tears, "I've got it now, Henry. You don't have to worry anymore." By morning, she wasn't just the widow. She was the sole legal owner of everything her family thought they controlled. At 9 a.m., Alan Kramer, their family lawyer of 30 years, sat across from Eleanor at her dining room table. They combed through every clause, every transfer, every signature. By 11:15, she had signed 6 more documents. Every account, every property, every asset legally locked under her control. Alan asked, "Do you want them to find out in a meeting or through their bank accounts?" Eleanor sipped her tea. "Let them feel it." Pause, and they did. At 3:07 p.m., Blake texted, "Hey, weird question, but do you know why the cabin account's locked?" 5 minutes later, Candace called. Eleanor let it go to voicemail. By 4:30, the family group chat was exploding. Trevor finally typed, "Did someone change the access on Mom's end?" "Yes, Trevor." Someone did. That evening, Eleanor walked up the stone path to Blake's house. She carried a manila folder. Inside, the family was frantic. Candace pacing, Trevor lurking, Blake pretending to be calm. Eleanor laid the papers on the counter. "This is the new estate plan. As of this morning, everything is under my name. Everything." Blake scoffed, "You can't just move money without the trust board." Eleanor smiled. "There's no trust board. Henry dissolved it last year." Candace snatched at the papers. "This isn't binding." Eleanor slid over a notarized copy. Alan's seal stamped in blue. The room went silent. "This isn't a negotiation," Eleanor said evenly. "This is a notification. You have no legal claim to any of it." She turned toward the door, paused, and added, If you want to talk about my future again, you'll need an appointment. Then she left them standing in the house she and Henry had paid for, choking on the control they thought they had. 2 days later, Alan called. Eleanor, you need to see this. In his office, he laid out a folder. Bank statements, withdrawals, loan agreements, all with Blake's signature, $500,000 in loans taken out using Henry's business line of credit while Henry was in the hospital. Fraudulent, illegal. Eleanor's jaw tightened. Alan asked gently, do you want to press charges? She didn't answer. Not yet. She wanted Blake to sweat first, to feel the walls closing in before she finished him. That night, Eleanor opened Henry's old journal. On one page, in neat handwriting, Henry had written, Blake's withdrawals look fishy. Ask Alan. Henry had known. Now, it was Eleanor's turn to finish what he started. Blake invited her to a family barbecue like nothing had happened. Paper plates, burgers, fake smiles. Eleanor showed up. Sometimes silence isn't power, sometimes showing. Your face is . She dropped a folder onto the picnic table. Inside, proof of Blake's fraud. This, she said calmly, is what Blake did while your father was dying. Candace shrieked about setups. Trevor grabbed another beer. Blake tried to laugh it off. It's notarized, Eleanor said flatly. The only reason you're not in jail already is because I'm giving you one last chance. Blake shouted, you're going to burn this family down over some paperwork? Eleanor leaned in. No, you did that when you stole from your father's grave. Then she stood, straightened her blouse, and walked out. Days later, a white envelope slid under. Eleanor's door. Inside was a forged psychiatric recommendation form. It claimed she needed a capacity evaluation. If approved, her children could strip her of control. Alan traced the forgery straight to Candace. Eleanor whispered 2 words, press charges. That evening, the sheriff cuffed Candace on Blake's driveway. Fraud, forgery, abuse of the court system. Her granddaughter Ava called Eleanor later, her voice trembling. She tried to blame you, Grandma, but nobody believed her. Not even Dad. For the first time since Henry's death, Eleanor felt something like peace. Candace took a plea deal, a permanent record, a financial penalty that gutted their savings. Blake went quiet, not from dignity, but defeat. Eleanor turned her focus to something bigger than revenge. She signed the deed of a small house, the one Henry had painted with yellow shutters into Ava's name. Ava burst into tears. I don't deserve this. You do, Eleanor said softly, because you never pretended. Then she launched a nonprofit, the Henry Whitmore Second Chance Fund, a grant program for widows blindsided by selfish families. The first application came in within a day from a woman in Kentucky whose children had robbed her the morning after her husband's funeral. Eleanor approved her within hours because she remembered, and she refused to let anyone else be erased the way they tried to erase her. Weeks later, Blake sent one last invitation. A family dinner. Eleanor went, not to forgive, but to stand tall. Candace wasn't there, thanks to a court order. Trevor hovered, small and useless. Ava sat proudly at Eleanor's side. Blake raised a glass, tried to speak about families weathering storms. Eleanor set her glass down, looked each of them in the eye. This isn't a storm. This is consequence. And each of you wrote it yourselves. She stood. You told me I was just the widow, but I should stay quiet. But I wasn't quiet when I built this family. I wasn't quiet when I kept it alive. And I won't be quiet now that I've taken it back. This table, this room, your guests here. Remember that. And with that, she walked out, not angry. Just finished. Outside, the night air felt sharp and clean. For the first time since Henry's funeral, Eleanor felt light, because sometimes freedom doesn't come from forgiveness. Sometimes it comes from standing up, looking betrayal in the eye, and saying, no more. They thought she was just the widow, but Eleanor Whitmore had the last word. Everything they thought was theirs was hers, and she never looked back. If you made it this far, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and tell me in the comments, what do you think? Was Eleanor right to take everything back, or should she have given her family one more chance? Because one thing's for sure, silence doesn't always mean weakness. Sometimes silence is the sound of victory.